welcome to your personalized deep dive. We're going to do a deep dive today into the crypto world, specifically like a news roundup of early 2025 biggest crypto news. You've given us a really interesting mix of sources. We've got
Yep.
blockchain, gaming, national policies, some serious crypto whale activity. I mean, where do we even want to start with all this?
Yeah, it really does feel like the global landscape is shifting when it comes to crypto. I
Right.
think what's really fascinating is how different countries are choosing to approach cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
ranging from, like you said, strategic asset integration to like full-on crackdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real mixed bag out there. Speaking of global approaches, one of the sources you gave us talks about Bhutan of all places, and Bhutan's making some pretty big crypto moves, and they're known for measuring gross national happiness instead of just GDP.
Right. And
Right.
and it makes their move even more interesting, right? They're setting their Gulful Mindfulness City is setting up a strategic reserve that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance Coin.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bold diversification strategy, especially for a country that's known for like prioritizing well-being.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, like, could a country's crypto holdings become like as important as economic growth in the future? Are we going to be looking at, crypto reserves as a measure of a nation's stability or even happiness?
It's definitely a possibility. It really does challenge our traditional ideas of economic indicators. And this trend of countries embracing crypto isn't limited to Bhutan. Your sources also mentioned some pretty fascinating developments in Canada as well.
Canada.
Yeah.
Let's unpack that a little, see what's happening up north.
Yeah, so one of your sources highlights a Canadian firm, Sol Strategies, investing $17 million into the Solana blockchain. But what's really intriguing is the upcoming election. Apparently many in the crypto industry are backing Pierre Poilievre, who's known to be very pro-Bitcoin.
So we've got like serious financial investment and potential political shifts kind of happening simultaneously. Canada's crypto scene is heating up, that's for sure. So how might this actually reshape the crypto landscape, like not just within Canada, but across North America?
Well, if Poilievre wins, it could lead to Canada becoming like a crypto haven in North America.
Hmm.
Think about it. More favorable regulations for crypto businesses and investors could attract a huge influx of activity. We could even see a domino effect, with other countries feeling pressure to adopt more crypto-friendly policies to stay competitive.
Okay, so potentially huge ripple effects from the Canadian election.
Yeah.
Definitely something to watch. Now, your stack of sources also mentioned some activity happening in Asia, specifically South Korea and Thailand.
Yes, South Korea is actually considering lifting its ban on institutional crypto trading, which is a major shift for a country that's been pretty cautious about crypto in the past. And then there's Thailand, which is piloting cryptocurrency payments in Phuket, using a tourist hotspot like Phuket for their pilot program. It's a pretty clever move, don't you think?
Definitely. I mean, it's a great way to test the waters with a diverse group of users, right? Many of whom might already be familiar with crypto. Plus, it's a perfect opportunity to gather data on real-world usage and identify any potential challenges before rolling it out, like nationwide.
Exactly. And I think this highlights a bigger trend that we're seeing. Governments around the world are starting to recognize the need to find ways to integrate crypto into their existing financial systems, whether it's through strategic reserves regulatory changes or pilot programs. It's clear that crypto is no longer something they can just ignore.
Yeah, it seems like countries are starting to realize that if they don't get on board with crypto, they risk being left behind in the dust. But not every country is taking the same approach.
Mm.
You also include an article here about Kazakhstan cracking down on crypto exchanges.
Right. Last year, they shut down 36 illegal crypto exchanges and seized like $112 million in assets. Yeah, this shows us the other side of the coin, so to speak. While some countries are embracing crypto, others are more concerned about the potential for illicit activities.
Yeah, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows in the crypto world. This crackdown is a stark reminder that regulation is going to be a key factor in how the crypto landscape evolves. But it raises some interesting questions, though. Is this level of enforcement sustainable in the long run? And how do you balance the need for security with the desire for innovation in such a fast-moving space?
Those are great questions. And I don't think anyone has all the answers yet, but it's definitely something we need to be thinking about as the crypto world continues to grow.
Absolutely. Now let's kind of shift gears for a moment and zoom in on some specific market movements. A couple of your sources talk about some serious whale activity.
Right. Whale being the term for those individuals or entities holding huge amounts of crypto, and their movements can often signal upcoming market trends. One of your sources mentions that Cardano whales have been buying the dip, which suggests they're still bullish on its long-term potential.
So even with all the ups and downs we've seen in the crypto market recently, These big players are still betting on Cardano. So what's their game here? Are they just trying to manipulate the market, or do they genuinely believe in the technology?
It's hard to say for sure, but their actions definitely have an impact. And then there's Dogecoin, the meme-based cryptocurrency that's always been a bit of a wild card. Your source suggests it might see further decline, which wouldn't be surprising given its volatile history. But with Dogecoin, you never really know.
Yeah, Dogecoin always keeps things interesting, to say the least. Speaking of interesting market moves, you've also flagged a Japanese investment firm called Metaplanet that's making a huge play in Bitcoin.
You're telling me they're planning to increase their Bitcoin holdings to a whopping 10,000 BTC by the end of the year? That's a bold move, especially coming from a traditional financial institution.
Yeah, 10,000 Bitcoin. That's a serious chunk of change.
Huh.
So, so what do you think is driving their strategy here? Is it just FOMO? Or is there a deeper belief in Bitcoin's long-term value as a store of value?
It's likely a combination of factors, but the fact that a traditional firm like Metaplanet is making such a significant investment in Bitcoin definitely suggests a growing confidence in its staying power. They clearly see it as a legitimate asset class, not just a speculative bubble.
So, for our listener who's following all this, this is a prime example of how the actions of these big players can really influence a market. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about understanding the financial forces at play.
Exactly. And finally, there's one more piece of news we need to discuss. The United States, one of your sources mentions a meeting between Ripple's CEO Brad Garlinghouse and President-elect Donald Trump.
Yeah, this meeting has definitely raised some eyebrows. Details are scarce, but this unexpected meeting could signal a potential shift in the U.S. government's stance on crypto.
It definitely makes you wonder, could this lead to a more favorable regulatory environment for crypto in the U.S.? We'll have to wait and see how this unfolds. But one thing's for sure, the U.S. can't afford to ignore the growing influence of crypto on the global stage. They risk falling behind if they don't figure out how to engage with it strategically.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It'd be interesting to see how the U.S. navigates the crypto landscape in the coming years. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already, and we've only just scratched the surface of the international news you wanted to discuss.
It's incredible how much is happening globally. But it really underscores the fact that, crypto is no longer a niche interest. It's a global phenomenon with far-reaching implications for everything from finance and technology to geopolitics and even social trends.
Right, it's all connected, and it seems like things are moving faster than ever before we dive into that exciting world of blockchain gaming in the metaverse. Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned so far. What are some of the key takeaways from this whirlwind tour of international crypto news?
Well, I think we've seen countries taking radically different approaches to crypto, from Bhutan's strategic reserve to Kazakhstan's crackdown on illegal exchanges. Canada's upcoming election could be a pivotal moment for crypto regulation in North America. And in Asia, we're seeing signs of greater acceptance, with South Korea potentially lifting its ban on institutional trading and Thailand piloting crypto payments.
And we can't forget those whales making waves, Cardano whales buying the dip,
Yeah.
Dogecoin potentially declining further,
Mhm.
and that massive Bitcoin investment from Metaplanet in Japan, plus that intriguing meeting between Ripple's CEO and President-elect Trump. It's a lot to digest.
It is, but it's all fascinating. It's like watching a complex puzzle coming together in real time. There's so many moving pieces, and it'll be captivating to see how they all fit together in the coming months.
Exactly. So for you listening, stay tuned as we dive deeper into the world of blockchain gaming in the metaverse. It's going to be a wild ride.
All right, so from the global stage, let's zoom in. Let's zoom into one of the most dynamic areas of the crypto world, blockchain gaming. This is where things start to feel like we're stepping into a sci-fi movie,
I know. Right when I was reading through your sources, I felt like I was getting a glimpse into the future. But for those of us who might not be as familiar with this space, can you break down what blockchain gaming actually is?
Sure. So it's all about integrating blockchain technology into the very DNA of video games. And this integration allows for things that were simply impossible before, like truly owning your in-game items. So those digital sword skins, even virtual land with blockchain. It's not just pixels on a screen, it's verifiable ownership recorded on the blockchain.
So instead of those items just being trapped inside the game's servers, you actually own them like a digital deed. That's pretty mind-blowing. But how does this concept of ownership actually play out in the real world?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Imagine earning like a rare item in a game and then being able to sell it to another player for real money outside of the game's ecosystem. Or think about owning a piece of virtual land that you can develop, build on, and even rent out to other players. It creates a whole new